What up, world? DJ on the mic, fresh in 2023 because 2022 has left the building. But no worries though, because we got Digimon content still coming to your retinas. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my BT12 Red Hybrid deck profile. You're probably thinking, where the BT11 source at? Don't worry, it's going to be coming to your retinas very soon. But Red Hybrid's got a really soft place in my heart. And I'm so excited for this set to drop because it's just got a lot of protagonist kind of focus decks, which I just love. But Red Hybrid is definitely the one for me. So if this is the video for you as I go through my all gas no brakes, because let me tell you, this deck is turbo. This deck is doing heavy work just at champion level. Then this is the video for you. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, then make sure you subscribe. Let's get this channel growing, because let's just say we've got some big goals for 2023. So further ado, enough of the plugs, let's go into the deck profile. So in terms of the rookies, so we've got some new rookies into the mix. And when I say rookies, I mean eggs. Oh, I'm really starting off very strong here. But I'm not doing another take. So we do run only 4 eggs. We're at that point now where running 5 eggs just isn't really that beneficial. Because that one time when you get like the 1 egg, which you're a bit like, I wish I actually had this egg and that could have won me the game. You just want to rule out that possibility. So if you just run with 1 staple, that is all you need. And Yokomon is quite interesting, really fits with this archetype quite well, because on deletion, if you have a red Tamer in play, draw 1. 9 times out of 10 we're gonna have a red Tamer out on play. It's gonna be, you know, the Takuyas rocking out if we have the memory setter one, or just have the 3-cost one which you can warp into EmperorGreymon. This is going to be an easy condition to fulfill, so we do run that 4 and no less. So in terms of the rookies are pretty straightforward here. It's all about that flame. We're actually pretty fleshed out in terms of flame, in terms of like Red Hybrid support, like Evo line. There's a lot of options that we can actually take now. So in terms of the standard, we're going to BT4 Flamemon. This is definitely one of your staple searches because you can reveal top 3, pick a card with hybrid in its name and a red Tamer and place the rest of the bottom deck. So you basically can net 2 cards. And because of our ratios, 9 times out of 10 you are going to be getting 2 cards, which is pretty sick right there. So you definitely want to be running that at 4 for sure. Then we run with one of my personal favorites, and this right here, I chase those all arts so hard because I really do love this card. But I didn't really play it so much in when it first dropped in BT7, because in terms of its searchability, you know, it was searching Susanamon, and I don't run Susanamon, didn't run Susanamon in Red Hybrid initially, so it wasn't really that great, but it did dig 3 cards into your deck, and you could search out a card with Hybrid, Susanamon, or Takuya, which is actually pretty good now because we do have more Takuyas in this deck. Also, its inheritable is pretty sick now and really fits with the overall theme, is because on deletion, you may play 1 Takuya from hand without playing its memory cost. So really strong, great in raising, great when you're hard playing it, absolutely 4 for sure. And then we've got the new Flamemon, which is at BT12. So this one right here is actually really good and really fuels some of the warp plays that you can do. So if you play this down on play by trashing 1 Digimon with hybrid in its traits, draw 2. So essentially it's kind of like your Systemon Blanc starter deck, what was in obviously the Adjustment starter deck, which just works really well for this, because getting that draw is going to be great. You're not going to be kind of like missing any pieces. You can just get the 2. You could get a Tamer, you could get a hybrid. You're laughing. Really strong card. And then inheritable, so it's quite good if you want to slap it in raising, is that whilst this Digimon has hybrid or 10 warriors in its traits, you gain 2000 DP. That is huge. 2000 DP is a really good DP threshold to have. Very strong, awesome in your raising. And that is pretty much it for the rookies. We're just keeping it flame. We're not running no Bokomons, we're not running no Nemons, because I feel like Bokomon, it's great. It's absolutely fantastic in what it does. But because this deck is mostly hybrid focused now, we can search everything out. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, we're going to have a bottom deck it, or we're just not going to have the right time to kind of play it. And also, it's kind of bait for the opposition, just get rid of it anyway. I'd rather just go with the red memory boost, which I do run at 3, because it's not going to get, it's not basically fueling the Defex plays that the opponent can do if Defex is still relevant in BT12. As well as also being procced in security, I can gain 2 memories, which effectively is what Pokemon is doing. If I Evo on top of a Tamer, I do gain that 2 memory back. So that's the reason why Pokemon isn't in it. And Nemon, tested Nemon in like back in the day when I used to run Blue Hybrid. It is good, but I feel like there's a lot of cards in this deck that actually just get Takuya back anyway, so I might as well just not have it. And once again, it's not searchable outside of what my searches actually do. Granted, you know, you do have this Flamemon that can effectively draw into it, but ideally for consistency, we just kind of keep it hybrid focus. So that is my reasoning before those comments come in. Come on the video. So let's go over to the champions, because once again, the champions really do have a lot of firepower, and when you're playing red hybrid, they kind of do most of the legwork in combination of using your Atomic Infernos. So we do use the standard BT4 Agunimon. I think this is still staple because it's still got that Evo for 2, which is strong, and you can Evo on top of a Tamer. So it's just pretty much really simple in what it does, but really helpful. But we only run that at 2 because we do run the new Agunimon at 4. As well for the Burning Grey, BT7, really strong card here, because obviously if you do Digivolve on top of your Takuya, you obviously Digivolve for the cost of 2, which is really good. But if you don't, it does cost you 3 if you was going to essentially Evo on top of your rookie, which isn't the worst, guys. Isn't the worst. This is the reason why I've actually knocked it down a little bit. But we do need a little bit of board control right there. So when Digivolving, if a card with hybrid is in its traits, in its Digivolution source, or a Takuya, then you're able to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 DP or less. So really good control right there. And obviously you can stack it on any red Digimon, which is pretty cool for the cost of 1. And what you'll see now is the new red hybrid support kind of stack on one another, so you can kind of alternate a little bit, which is quite crazy. It's really, really cool. There's no inheritable on this, which is absolutely fine, but we do only run that at 2 right there. So in terms of the new red hybrid support, we do rock in with the BT12 Agunimon, which is definitely coming in with that Falcon kick. Absolutely nice. I love the angle. I'd love to see that with an art, but I think that just does it justice. To be honest, just slap that with a full art and I'd be happy. So with this, it does have a special Digivolve condition, so it can Digivolve on top of a Burning Greymon for 1, which is really good. It can also Evo on top of a Tamer, a red Tamer, for the cost of 2, which is sick. And then on deletion, you're able to play 1 Flamemon suspended from your hand without paying its memory cost. So really, really cool to kind of get that combo going. You can throw in your BT4 Flamemon, get your searches off, net 2 cards if you do bump into, or if you do reveal a red hybrid and a Tamer winning, or throw down the BT7 Flamemon and basically dig 4 cards deep for some key cards there. You might bump into, you know, your EmperorGreymon and so forth. So really quite cool things you can do with this card. Especially if you obviously want to slap on the Atomic Inferno, do some mad checks, you die, not a problem, because essentially you can just get a lot of worth from dying, and that's the whole premise of this deck right now, is that even if you go in there all gas no brakes, you still got the momentum even if you happen to get deleted, which is awesome. Then on top of that, it does have an inheritable. You may play 1 Takuya from your hand without paying its memory cost. So really, really solid and really good interactions in terms of how many Tamers you could actually get out on board. Because in theory, let's look at the card pool here. So say if you evoed this in raising, obviously you can play, if it was deleted, you can play a Tamer from that, so you could essentially get 2 Takuyas out. If you then evo on this, and then you could obviously evo on top of that with a Burning Greymon, because its special Digivolve requirement is that you can Evo for 1 on an Agunimon, which is pretty awesome. And this essentially, you can do that with the BT7 Burning Grey, because that can just Evo for 1 on top of just any red Digimon, which is awesome. But here, obviously, it's just like a special condition. Obviously, its actual Evo cost, if you was going to Digivolve Amazing, is free, so that's a little bit costly. It's alright if you've got your Takuya out, which is a memory setter. It's not so bad, but ideally you do not want to be you want to be Evoing using this card on top of a Tamer, if anything. But when Digivolving, gains 2000 DP. Wicked. So what you got here is a 8000 DP champion, and if you've evoed on top of Takuya, and this is the Takuya like this one here, then you already at 1000 DP, and you've got an additional, and you got 2 checks, because you've literally met that inheritable of Takuya, which is just awesome. There's just such power that you can get, and that you can get for the cost of 2. Cost of 2, boy doing 2 checks. If you're slapping an Atomic Inferno in there, he's going to be doing, what, 13k, 3 checks. Massive damage. All gas. That's what we like to see. On top of that, it does have an inheritable, which you're able to gain 2000 DP if that's this Digimon's a hybrid or 10 warrior, which most likely it will be. So very, very strong inheritable right there. Obviously, if you go into your top end. So that is it for the champions. So champions, we are running 12. But like I say, because we are running Tamers that act as rookies, it's not that much of an obscure lineup right there. So going on to the ultimate. So ultimates we are running 6, a little bit thin, but like I say, the champions do quite a bit of the damage. But if you go into that kind of top end, it's got to be Aldemon out on deck. I mean, this boy is just staple. It's really staple. Now, inheritable is just too good. Inheritable is a delicate plan, built in an inheritable. When you go into your Emperor Grey, it's going to be awesome. It means that you're going to be swinging a lot more safely. As well, if you are going through the full, like, Tamer Evo line, so if you go Evo on top of your Takuya, go into your champion, and then go into this will effectively reduce the Digivolution cost by 2, meaning that you're Evoing for the cost of 1, which is just, once again, really strong. We've got a memory setter now. Evo into Aldemon is pretty easy to do whilst keeping turn. On top of that, you do get an additional 4000 DP whilst there's a hybrid in its stack, which, like I say, this deck actually is all about that. So it's going to be like 12k, boom. Obviously, depending on what Takuya you've got underneath, if you've got the BT7 Takuya, that's additional, that's going to be swinging for 14. Additional security check right there. Big damage. Obviously, inheritables from your champions and your, well, yeah, your champion. Giving this additional 2k. It's going to be swinging at 16. 16, pretty big damage. And then throwing an Atomic Inferno in there, 19, depending on how much memory you got. So very, very strong card right here. Probably going to be utilized further in this format, well, BT12. Then we go into the new Aldemon. So new Aldemon's definitely spicy. Definitely got the works. No inheritables on this bad boy, but it does do a lot in terms of interacting with the new Takuya or even the old Takuya. It depends on which one obviously you want to utilize in order to be aggressive or conserve more memory. So main and hand, well, hand and main, by placing 1 Agunimon and 1 Burning Greymon from your trash under one of your Takuya Kambara in any order, Digivolve this card as if the Tamer was a level 4 red Digimon by paying its Digivolution cost. So that is huge. That essentially just warp Digivolve straight into this boy for free cost, winning. Obviously, depending on how your red member boost is set up, you could really utilize some awesome plays right there. And then obviously, however you want to do it, you can obviously Evo into your BT7 Emperor Grey. No, what is it, BT7? Yeah, I think it's BT7. BT7 Emperor Grey. It's been a while since I've actually used it. Yeah, BT7 Emperor Grey. Obviously, that has the Blitz. And if you've got this Takuya underneath, if it's going for some checks, you're going to be gaining that 2 memory back. So effectively, that's only going to be costing you a cost of 2, which is massive. Or obviously, if you're going to use this, then you could be swinging for a nice juicy 2 checker right there, because you would have hit the threshold of 1000 DP, which is sweet right there. So really, really powerful card. And then on deletion, you're able to return one Takuya from your trash to your hand. So really good ways to recycle your Takuyas, which is obviously one of the key cards to really make this deck super aggressive. So that is 6 ultimates right there. Going on to now the Megas. So the Megas right here, let's just go with the new boy. The new boy really adds a lot of spice here, and it's great that this boy is a 3-cost Evo, because that was one of the issues with Red Hybrid. We just didn't have a form of 3-cost Evo. Like Ancient Grey was 5. Obviously, if you use the promo, it does go to the cost of 3, which is okay. But then you couldn't essentially use any Atomic Infernos on it because it's technically not a hybrid anymore. But this keeps the hybrid trait in there, so you've got a lot of flexible plays that you can do to really just go for some mad cleaving with this boy. So 11 DP threshold, which is not bad. Obviously, depending on what innotables you got, it's it's going to be swinging for big damage right there. But he does gain an additional security attack, which is pretty awesome. Once again, something that EmperorGreymon was lacking in the previous BT7. But now, when digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 6,000 DP or less. If this Digimon has a red Tamer in its Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less or equal to this Digimon's DP instead. So that's just pretty much most things in this game right now, because obviously you're gonna have additional 2k from Takuya, so that's gonna put you on 13. Depending on what inheritables you got in your source, it's probably gonna be sitting around about 15, which is pretty much, like I say, most level 7s, definitely most level 6s in there. So really cool what it can do. Obviously, if you haven't evoed on top of your Tamer, 6,000 DP or less is not bad. It can get rid of a blocker, which a blocker can really shut this deck down a little bit. So overall, I do like the effect. I do like the added bit of removal, which is pretty sick, especially if you warp into this as well, which is going to be so good. Then on deletion, which is quite nice, I'm glad that it has a good deletion effect, is that you may play one Takuya Kambara from your hand or trash right paying its memory cost, which is pretty huge right here. Once again, still keeping that aggro play that this deck excels at. So overall, really happy. We do run that at 4. And then for nice little text, we do run the Emperor Grey BT7 at 1. I feel like this card has some really cool interactions with some of the Tamers that we do have now. Like I say, we do have a designated memory setter, which is pretty cool, which we can utilize. But the good thing about this is that the fact that when digivolving it does gain that blitz, and then if, say, the opponent does have a blocker and they chose to block it, which would be absolutely stupid to do, you're able to gain 1 memory for each Digivolution card this Digimon has with hybrid in its traits, which is just massive. Just basically puts it back to your turn, you unsuspend as well, and then you just swing again. So really strong card right here. So obviously with that being said, what you can essentially do is, if you was going to utilize this, obviously you do your warp for the cost of 3 on top of this Tamer, which is just fantastic. The fact that you're able to still gain that 2,000 DP, which is huge. And whilst this Digimon's at 1,000 DP or more, gains your turn once per turn, this Digimon checks your opponent's security stack, gain 2 memory, which is massive. So obviously the blitz comes in. On top of this, check that security, you're gonna gain 2 memory back, meaning that this card, this actual cost of this is only cost you 2. That is pretty huge right there. And obviously, depending if you've got, say, boost out, you could comfortably claw back turn, and then blam, go into your Blitz Omni for game. Because you evo to that unspam swing. And you already know what Blitz Omni does. Really strong card, still relevant. It's crazy how much this card is still used to this day, and it's just a very good in terms of just finishing up games. So we do run that at 1. Obviously, that's the only card outside of hybrid that is unsearchable. but it's not essentially our main win con, and we could flex up the ratio, so we could run that at 2 if we did want to. But I feel like using this obviously as the main chess piece in order for us to do that big damage is going to be awesome, especially because we do run our infamous Atomic Inferno, which is just overall cracked in itself. But I just wanted to kind of keep it just really consistent, being the main thing here. So going on obviously to your Tamers, we do run a Takuya from BT7. This is still just a very strong card. It can still trigger from security, which is just great. I've seen the security is an absolute win. So this is the reason why we do run it at 4. On top of that, just the warp capability. Back in the day, we did abuse the Ancient Grey warp tech, which still blows my mind how that actually is legal. but this is actually going to be more fitting because we are actually going to go into EmperorGreymon, which is pretty awesome. And now we do have options in terms of how I want to go with that. The good thing about this is going to be, if we do have the memory setter Takuya out, and we do trigger the warp into our Emperor Grey, we're going to be keeping turn, which is just going to be really, really good. And I honestly can't wait for it, because you're going to have all the inheritables from your hybrids, and you can obviously select which ones you want. You can make your Emperor Grey BT12 just really beefy to just remove any form of threats out there. So pretty much you've got like a free cost removal. Free cost Gaia Force in essence, which is just once again really, really strong. On top of that, gains that additional security tech, gives additional 2000 DP. So your Emperor Grey BT12 is going to be swinging for 3 checks, which is once again quite massive right there. Obviously, depending on your red memory boost setup, you could obviously slap in your Atomic Infernos, boost that up. You could really kind of go solid with a good OTK strategy right there, which is awesome. So we do run that at 4, and obviously it's a free cost, which is even better. Then we do have the new Takuya, which is just the chef's kiss, and I'm going to be hunting for these alt arts right here. So Takuya, pretty much just your memory center in terms of like its on-play abilities. No searching. It would be pretty cool if it did have like a little mini search engine going on, but it doesn't, unfortunately. But just having a searchable Takuya that can basically be a memory setter, we can give Ty a break, which is, that boy's done a service. I ain't gonna lie, but he needs a break. But the good thing about this is going to be the inheritable. The inheritable is really awesome here, guys, because when this Digimon, this Digimon on your turn, this Digimon gets 2000 DP, awesome. When this Digimon has 1000 DP, 10,000 DP, I wish it was 1,000, then essentially when it checks security of your opponent, you're able to gain 2 memory, and this could be like basically off. Say if you was gonna go, let's just do a nice little example here, you know what I'm saying. So say if we was gonna go to Evo with this, obviously then go into your Aldemon, and then hopefully we survive. And then, or actually no, even just go into your Aldemon right there. So this is what I mean. So basically you don't even have to go into your freaking ultimate, your mega. You literally just go into that. That's going to boost you over the threshold to trigger the inevitable of this. You go for a swing, you check security, you gain 2 memory back, which is just massive. It's just really good because once again you can extend your plays. Obviously if you do kind of go into your EmperorGreymon, then you can essentially reduce the cost of that. That can effectively be the cost of 1 in essence. Which is cool. It's just a really cool inheritable to have. The gain 2 memory is just strong, and it's something that Red kind of struggles with in terms of memory management. The fact that we actually have a card, 1 searchable, 2 we can either on top of it and utilize this is just great. So that's it for the Tamer lineup. I don't want to essentially boost it any higher, in all honesty, because I just want to kind of keep that consistency. Just Takuya is who I want to be seeing, and I've got cards to get him out efficiently. So going over to the options, pretty short and sweet here. Atomic Inferno, this card is cracked. Honestly, it's so good. Like, having this just crap, like this just out of security is just huge. So huge. But first let's go over the main. So main, when one of your Digimon with hybrid in its traits gets 3000 DP, which is huge, and additional security check. Awesome. And then, if the Digimon was to be blocked, then I gain 3 memory for the turn, which is just crazy in what it does, because you just don't want to block it, or you're gonna be forced to block, but then you gain 3 memory. Gaining 3 memory in this deck is huge. It's so huge right there. And if you're gonna get it better, if you play 2 of these down and they happen to block it, you gain, it stacks, so you can gain 6 memory. 6 memory, you might as well call it GG boys at that point. But if this is procced out of security, all of your Digimon gain security attack +1. When it says all, it means that even if they're not even in play, they gain a security attack +1. So say if I've got a whole bunch of Takuyas out and this procs off in security and our memory stacked up to the 9s, I can literally just either on top of a Tamer, swing for 2 checks. And same again. Like, this is such a game changer when this procs out in security. It's honestly, it's scary. it's a very powerful bomb if you've got the right setup. So we do run that 3. We don't want to run that 4 because I must admit it can be a bit clunky in hand if you're not quite ready to kind of pop off. But 3 is just nice. And then lastly, we do run a nice cheeky red memory boost. Just once again, that consistency is key. We do run all red Digimon in this, apart from Omnimon, which is going to be perfect. We're not going to be disappointed in terms of what we reveal, unless we actually like happen to reveal 4 Tamers at once. That's obviously going to be the worst case scenario, but very, very rare. But it could happen. And then delay gains 2 memory, so I can just pop this whenever I want to, which is just good. Setting up those plays, and what we want to be doing with this deck is just essentially just those big burst turns. Just really go in, leave the opponent just sweating a little bit, like, oh shit, what we're going to do here, because unless their deck can't really deal with Tamers, this is going to run rampant for sure. Obviously, a memory blocker can pretty much stop the Takuya and the red memory boost plays, but I mean, we've got ways to kind of get rid of them, which is fine. We know we do have our Burning Grey, we do have Emperor Grey, which can just obviously pop that with no issue, which is fine. So this is the deck profile, guys. All gas, no brakes. BT12 Emperor Grey in the place to be. I honestly cannot freaking wait. This will be the deck. I'm so happy that I've pretty much, in terms of my alts for this deck, the only thing I'm having to chase is literally this and this. That is it. I've literally got a playset of that. I've got the 2 that I need to run in the deck of the Goonimon. Flamemon's already acquired, which is nice. So I'm in a good position, unless they surprise us with like, oh, we've got to alt freaking Aldermon into the mix, which would be interesting, to say the least. But overall, I'm pretty ready. I'm pretty hyped. So let me know in the comments what you think to the deck profile. What changes would you do? Is my ratio a little bit obscure? Let me know. But guys, stay safe, stay fly, and I'll catch you next one. Digidread off the mic.